to fully meet the pension obligation bond payments, but you have to make the payments, so those payments were made, and essentially that left a debt or a hole in the county's budget that the money from the department's contributions goes into. So that should be paid off in this year. Oh, 08 or 09. So this is the last year I'm paying that. So we will have wiped two things off of our list, which is good. The teeter plan, normally the payments are about 2.5 million on the amortization schedule. This reflects putting the revenues towards it as well, and that puts it at $5.1 million. And that's a pretty hefty amount. And then the microwave system, the payment is around $285,000 for this year. So out of this year's budget, approximately $13 million is going towards these debts and liabilities.
Allison.
Yes.
Supervisor Smith.
Yes, Allison, do you have on the chart, is it in one of these figures, the additional amount that is not the 90% payment on the pension obligation bonds, but the additional 10% that the board made the commitment to begin, the 1% annual repayment initiated this fiscal year?
No, I don't have it on any of the charts here. Where it will be reflected in the budget, and we can probably give you a more exact figure on June 17th, is it would have been kind of farmed out to departments as part of their retirement line item, and so we can look at how much that line item increased.
Well, my sense is it wouldn't be farmed out to departments because it's historical debt, so I don't think it has anything to do with current employees. It has nothing, it's the 10% that's off the table that the county has not committed to repaying, but it's obligated. So I don't believe it would be farmed out to departments. And I believe that we need a substantive report on that, because if you're trying to capture the real picture, which I think that is your intent, that 10% is a very significant figure. Now, my recollection is the annual payment for this fiscal year that the board committed to for 0809 is around 350 to 400,000, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And so if
I
you
can
were really
certainly
trying to say what that equals, now that's a very, very high number. If you were to put on the table that full amount for the cumulative debt total. I mean, I guess that's not what you're trying to do. You're trying to talk about the annual application of.
Right, but we could certainly put that annual amount. I mean,
I think it needs to be on the list.
yeah, I agree with you. You know, that was something that came up about a month or so ago, and you're right. Probably should be added to this list. And my memory is it is somewhere in the neighborhood of $350,000 to $400,000. So that's what could be reflected here. As far as it being farmed out to the departments, ultimately, the retirement contributions that come from the county and employees are merged in this particular budget unit. And so the costs are spread in both arenas. And the reason you want to pay it through departments is because those departments that have access to outside funding, you know, then the federal and state funds pay their share.
But how would you assign it to departments? I mean, this is historical debt, right? So you say that we've got this lump sum and we're going to take a 1% annual.
It's all historical debt.
I disagree.
Yeah, I just don't see, how do you assign, so if you assign that to a department, how do you figure out how many county employees, I just don't see how you would accurately do that.
Well, real quickly, the way you do it is you figure out the cost of the retirement system. You have an actuary who comes up with the contributions. That's calculated into it. And then departments pay based on their employees.
But that makes no sense, because that's a real-time analysis. We're not talking about a real-time analysis. So one department could have grown 20% over the last 2 years, and one department could have dropped 10%. That's not accurate. I mean, that doesn't make any logic. There's no logical reasoning for that.
The retirement system, you're right, the accrued actuarial liability, paid or unpaid, is figured on a historical basis as well as a future projection basis. However, the payments and I can't tell you how an actuary takes that information and translates it into an annual contribution rate for the county and for our employees. But they do, and then that's how the funding comes in. There
Well,
isn't a separate.
I'd like more information, cause that's not my understanding from being on the retirement board, that's not, I mean, do you do the same with the pension obligation bond money? Do you take that 4.5 million and assign it to departments?
Ultimately, it's calculated into the contributions, I believe.
Right.
Jennifer, would you like to add in?
Well, remember when Mr. Knudsen brought in the retirement report?
Right.
And actuarial gave a study and they arrived at a certain rate. Well, exactly what Allison was saying, they take that and included in that this year, when they determined the rate, was the 400,000 that we're talking about, and it's gonna increase over the next 10 years to drive up to the 100% county contribution.
Right, that's
So what they do is they spread that out through the departments based on the rate that's determined by the actuarial. So,
Yeah.
and that, every year when they review that rate, they look at all the departments, they look at the contributions by the county and the employees, and they arrive at this rate, and that
Right.
rate determines the amount that we project out in our salary projections through the department. So through the budget process,